You're listening to Everyday Ham, casual conversations for the everyday amateur radio enthusiast.
Welcome to the Everyday Ham podcast, everyone. This is episode 7. We are in July, close to 4th of July weekend. I'm James, KHAKU, and I'm joining me today are my co-hosts, Rory, W8KNX, and Jim, N8JRD. Before we want to get started, I want to just remind everyone how to connect with the Everyday Ham community. First, the best spot to visit is everydayham.com. You'll find links to our podcast episodes, YouTube videos, as well as our Instagram and Discord channel. So be sure to go out there and follow us for little short snippets and what we're working on. And again, as always, if you like what you're hearing today or watching today, please take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps others discover our content, and it would do us a great favor. Also, if you're feeling generous and you're on a platform such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. Again, if you like what you're hearing and what we're doing, it helps the community out a ton. Jim had a great idea also, and I want to thank everyone that participated. We actually got some Everyday Ham patches made with a nice Velcro backing. We made them for ourselves, but we had a couple extras, and Jim thought it'd be great to give those away as a prize to some of our audience members. So thanks, Jim, for that idea, and thank you everyone that also submitted your names for the raffle. Mm-hmm. But to maybe get started, we can talk a little bit about what we've been doing in ham radio. Rory, maybe start with you.
Well, one thing I think we should bring up right off the bat is we are official W8EDH. We have a Everyday Ham Amateur Radio Club call.
We do.
And all of the things that go with that we have started to put together. We do have a QRZ page started. We do have the POTA account started, so I would expect we'll be doing some combined POTA efforts at some point. It's more or less a club for the three of us and probably some of our best friends to have some fun with once in a while, and just to do some fun things and have the chance to do that. Additionally, I just finished, and actually it has some errors, so I guess I'm not quite finished, but I started putting together the All-Star side of that. We will have a All-Star Hub up in the cloud that will be open to the public. You can join into that club, and maybe down the road that will be attached to some physical hardware somewhere, but we're not going to put the antenna before the horse for that. So we'll see. Just some fun stuff there. Otherwise, around my shack, it was Field Day weekend, which we'll be talking about as we get into the episode here. But that has been about it. We did have James's shack visit. We had the mic check video that came out last weekend, I believe, and that was a fun time. The three of us all got together and got a 2-meter 440 antenna up on the roof at James' house. So if you've not seen that video, take a look at YouTube. It was a good time. You can see the three of us being complete. I don't even know what the word is. Not coming up with the one I want, but we're not good at doing things. Is basically what it.
If you ever dreamed of seeing this guy awkwardly crawl around the roof, then that's the right episode for you. But we got it done.
It was a good time, and it was a successful installation. Jim?
I feel like that was a pretty representative experience overall. Like somebody that you're only going to put an antenna up once in most cases, right? So yeah, we made do with the things that we had at James's house, including a tote that we emptied jumper cables out of, some rope that he was using to guy an antenna out with, a wrench that I threw at his face at some point to try to get the rope into the right location. It's all stuff you should probably go check out in the mic check video. But yeah. It was a heck of a time, and James is now on the air, and that's something that we can check off the box and hear James on the local repeater.
and I've joined a total of 1 net, so I'm making good use of it in the last week I've had it. So
technically, you're on the Thursday night roundtable as well, which I know is not a directed net, but it is technically established.
Not
get together.
A net, not a net, but yeah, it was a good time. Thanks again for helping with that, and maybe on the club topic, we never realize how much paperwork and accounts you have to register for.
Yeah, that's right.
When you start your own club, but also our buddy Shane is one of the members there as well, so it's definitely a good time for the four of us. Shane is one of our admins / good friends that helps with some of the back end stuff for the podcast.
Thanks, Shane.
So shout out again to Shane.
K8 BWN.
You'll see us on. Yeah,
now, if we shout out Shane, we have to shout out the unlicensed Jade over there, and who gives all sorts of ideas to Shane, but doesn't get licensed. So I have a whole list of ideas for Thursday night roundtable topics from her, but she's not on the air. But I know she listens to this once in a while, so I figured I'd throw that shout out there as well.
Well, I'll tell you, I am in a foreign place. If you are watching the podcast for our 7th iteration here, you'll notice that the background looks a little bit different, and you might recognize it from our Hamvention special, where we were in my camper during the big rainstorm. No rainstorm up here. I am literally on July 4th doing vacation mode here in Gaylord, Michigan, on the back 40 acres of my father's property, KC8 NTE. So, yeah, we're out here enjoying a family reunion experience, and I've got the Yeti microphone with me, and we are testing this microphone, so if you like how it sounds better than the one I usually use, let us know in the comments below. And I'm using a MacBook that I generally use just for logging and other ham radio programming purposes. So not a great webcam, I understand it, but it's been fun. I do have aspirations to get the radio out here probably tomorrow, depending on what looks good. The weather is supposed to participate the remainder of the week, so I think I'm going to head back up to Otsego Lake State Park, try to get my name to the top of the POTA list over there. I'm not too far off. I know it sounds crazy, but a very underactivated state park here in Michigan, right off of the freeway there. And then I think I'm also heading over to the East Jordan Fish Hatchery again, which is actually not too far from where I'm at here in the camper. So 2 that I'm targeting to put another activation on the books for, get the DX10 out, and we'll see how that goes with the band conditions, the way that they continue to be.
They've been better. I was checking out the solar report for today, and it seems like right after field day ended, Sunday morning, 20 meters started to open. We'll talk about field day.
Thanks,
the last day or two, it's been slowly getting better. So basically, it just was in time to ruin field day for some folks. But
right.
Yep. Looking at US 1531 Otsego Lake State Park, Jim is 5th in activator QSOs.
That's right.
You're only 9 behind our friend Terry, W8TMB, who is a friend of the channel, and certainly I think you might pass him with 1 activation. You will pass him with 1 activation. But,
I would have to get 10, but if I get much more than 10, I'll be very thrilled with the way things have been going lately on my activations. I've been walking away with 15 or 20 and being pretty happy about that, taking longer than I remember. A couple times coming up here, I've been able to swing into that Otsego Lake State Park and just, 30 minutes have a full activation plus some. So it'll be really interesting to get down there. Of course, it'll be much busier because it's the summer. That is a boating park primarily. In the winter, it's pretty quiet, and I've been able to sneak in to activate sometime around Christmas last year and sometime late in the fall last year as well when it was really closed up. So, but
winter activations at boat docks, fall or winter activation at boat docks and state parks, some of the best spots you can go. Usually has the real estate, no one to trample on your antenna wires, and you are sitting pretty with a good view. So.
It was me and the DNR officer that were in there, and he was curious what I was doing, but otherwise very friendly. But that's where I'm at.
Even at Island Lake, our local to Jim and I, the South Lyon area, Brighton area park. It's not local to James; he's too far away from here. But what was that? Oh, the fish area, the fish access area, whatever it's called. That is also the same deal there. It's the fall and the autumn, a very nice place to activate. Unfortunately, they close that area in the winter at that park, so that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah. But that's what's up with me here, and like I said, different background, different microphone, different setup, but hopefully we're still bringing it to you here on the Starlink tonight, and I'm really happy to be with you guys. James, what's new with you in ham?
Well, we'll talk a little about it. So I got my ID 5100 sitting here next to me, so that's hooked up to that brand new antenna on the roof. I also have a brand new FTDX10 sitting here, and Jim, do you want to tell them why?
Yeah, I think that it's time for us to close the book on the FTX1, and this will make this one quick because I think we've had a lot of perhaps fun with the FTX, or a lot of the fun at the FTX1's expense, perhaps. Here's the deal. James and I both, after the last episode, attempted again to make those radios work for us. Another week after that, and finally, I gave up, and I called Ham Radio Outlet out in Milwaukee, have a good contact there, and I said, hey, this radio, for whatever reason, just is not working. Here are the things that I've found. Ham Radio Outlet just said, no problem. why don't you just send it back to us? We would be happy to get you squared away. We don't want you to be unhappy with the situation. So they took it back, no questions, even though it had been run. No restocking fee, which was really nice of them. And they sent it back to Yaesu for further diagnosis. So that was nice to hear. It wasn't one that went back on the shelf to be resold. We were happy to hear that. Ham Radio Outlet treated us right. They treated, I think, the situation correctly, and made sure that we were whole on the situation. So, yep, my FTX1 is now back at Yaesu, being diagnosed, and hopefully in the future they can learn more from it. But with all that being said, I did cash out of the FTX1 market, and before anybody asks or posts, it was before the most recent update, which I believe dropped, just a couple of days ago.
Saturday or Friday evening, I think it was.
Right before Field Day, I believe they dropped a second update for the FTX1. Remember, they came with a rapid first update, and that second update had a slew of actually identified bugs that they listed out in the release notes. I always appreciate good release notes. I said last time I was disappointed with the initial release, didn't give us much detail on what they had fixed. This one did. It outlined each of the things that they worked on, and so I hope that those folks that were able to get that installed on their FTX1, that it made it better. That it made it work the way you wanted it or expected it to work. But nope, I had already sent mine back by then. I think James, in the same boat, he followed suit with me. He talked to our ham radio outlet friend as well, and he did also return his FTX1. So I just wanted to clear the air on that. We have moved on from the radio, and both of us still kept Yaesu in the family here. We have 2 new DX10s to announce, which I think are Yaesu's best HF radio for the money. Hands down, no doubt about it. I'm thrilled with my DX10. The DX10 is what I sold to buy the FTX1, and I'm glad to have one back in my box for POTA and for shack use. It's just an excellent radio. So closing the book on that, and happy to report that both of us were not only made whole, but also happily made new owners of FTDX10s, which are now in our possession.
Yeah,
James?
so I second the Ham Radio Outlet Milwaukee store. And again, we're nobodies. Just because we have a YouTube channel, no one knows who we are at
That's true.
HRO or anything like that. So this is
True.
a special treatment. And prior to this, they were also always very nice folks in there and deserve that kind of recognition and respect that we give them. Good service, and I do appreciate that from them as well. I did take the credit I was going to get. I got this FTDX10 based on a lot of the feedback from everyone else. I needed to update my base station, so I took the opportunity to do it. And I wouldn't say I'm out of the FTX1 market completely. I think in a few years, it's a form factor. We talked about it. It's a form factor I like. I like the ICOM 705 as well. And I'm not a QRP operator, but I like the ability to be mobile with it, the versatility that comes with it. I know it's a joke on the forums. There'll probably be an FTX1
X1A
and XA in a year or so, and maybe. But I will consider it in the future. But again, it was a lot of money tied up in a radio I wasn't enjoying using.
Or making
that's why
work.
I made the switch now. Or making work, yeah.
Or making
And
work. It wasn't just enjoyment. It simply put, it was not just enjoyment that caused me to send it back, right? There's a difference between a radio not functioning properly and a radio that I'm unhappy with. And I can mentally make that distinguish and say, hey, you know what? You got excited, you bought the wrong thing, but the radio works perfectly, right? There's a difference between that and what we got there, and that I wanted to say out loud there. Like, I think we acknowledged and confirmed that there were issues there that needed squaring. So, anyway, but I love what James said there. Asterisk, right? Everyday Ham, we appreciate everybody that checks it out. Don't think that anybody at Ham Radio Outlet is real familiar with N8JRD or K8JKU. So this was more just saying, hey, this is my story. What do you think? And they said, no, let's make sure we take care of you. The only thing that they asked of me was that I send a letter back with my radio indicating all of the issues that I had experienced and what I had done to rectify them since I had talked with support. That's what I did. I just basically printed out a letter with all that information. And they said that they would forward it along in the box with the radio back to Yaesu. So I appreciated their handling of that situation.
And I think the last straw for me was I started to have the transmit issue where it would cut off on 40 meters, and I wasn't enjoying myself, and I think it's a hobby that I should enjoy. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go get a radio temporarily. But we also found out, we'll put maybe an asterisk here as well because it's speculation. We personally didn't go through this experience.
A lot of hearsay.
Yeah, that there is maybe a fix for that intermittent transmit issue, which requires you sending your radio back to Yaesu. It's a touch and go sort of operation, and then they send it back to you apparently fixed. So if you are experiencing that issue out there, maybe it's an opportunity to call Yaesu support and see what they can do for you. But again, we personally did not go through that process. We chose the path of least resistance, which was just to return the units.
I would also ask if anybody did have it sent back and knows what was changed or modified. We would love to know, because we were trying to collect that information to tell you guys on this podcast. And thus far, information is fairly scarce on what is being done to these radios, other than send it back and we'll make a change. So we don't know why you can not make the change yourself via firmware. It appears to require some level of hardware interaction from the manufacturer of the mothership. That's what we know. And so we would love to learn more so that we can give you a fuller story. Rory, you had something. I'm sorry I cut you off.
I had exactly what you just said.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's what happens on the Starlink.
I was hoping that we would get some feedback from somebody who took the opportunity to return it and see what what their experience was with the Yaesu support process and so forth. So yeah, definitely, if someone's done that, I'd love to hear about it.
I have a non-FTX story because I want to give a transition point before we go into the main topic, which will be exciting. Today, I went to Mackinac Island, and guess what happened? I did not take my radio, because as I was packing my backpack, I put a DX10 in, and then I put an ATOS-25 in, and then I put a 20-amp-hour lithium-ion battery in. And pretty soon, my pack weighed close to 23 pounds, and I still had to spend the whole afternoon riding around.
Which is insane you even attempted that. So for those that don't know Mackinac Island, it's an island up in the northern east side of Michigan. It is known, notoriously, there are no vehicles outside of emergency vehicles on that island.
Horse-drawn carriage.
Bicycles, horse-drawn carriages, walking. Those are your options. And you have to take a ferry, a boat, to get there, and then walk around everywhere. The fact that he loaded a DX10 into a backpack and said, this is something I'm going to try for a minute, I'm going to strut around and see how it feels, is kind of nuts that was where you started. But that's my opinion.
Go ahead, Rory. What do you have on this?
If you go again, you're allowed to take my 891. I'll just put that out there.
Well, 891s exist, or an FTX1.
I was just going to say, so here's the full circle, right? Had I had a working FTX1 Optima, it would have been a mint opportunity to detach the field head with the battery and put it in my pack, and it would have weighed 3 or 4 pounds, and I would have comfortably went across on the ferry, and I would have gotten off, and I would have set up my ATOS-25. It's a pretty light antenna, and I would have been the strange person in the middle of the harbor doing a POTA activation and getting my Mackinac Island. But sadly, I visited Mackinac Island. There are. It's a twofer, right? If you set up in the right place, you can activate the harbor and the state park, because the whole island is essentially the park. And it's a really cool place. If you haven't gotten somebody on Mackinac Island, it's not a very frequently activated park, just because of, again, the logistics of getting a radio out there and having a place to set it up. We do have a club member, KN4AL. We've had him on as a guest here that has done it himself, and I appreciated his dedication to the cause as I was putting my FDDX10 into a backpack and deciding that I didn't want to break the front knobs off carrying it around all afternoon when I wasn't doing radio things. So just a fun little...
I think Jason used the foldable wagon to take his equipment over to the island.
I was going to say, if you're a private pilot, you could take all the equipment you want, because there is a small airport on the island as well.
There is.
None of us are that category of hams.
We do have a private pilot in the club, though. Well, we'll have to think about that at some point. Anyway, I just thought that was a funny story. There was a situation where an FTX1 would have come in handy. I did not have it in my kit. Rory, I agree with you. I think the 891 would have been the second best option, and it still exists on my Christmas want list or my Thanksgiving Black Friday list or whatever the next big day of discounts is. At some point, I'll probably have to get one. But Field Day just happened, guys. And I think
the Super Bowl of amateur radio just occurred.
That's right.
Hopefully everyone got out and was able to participate. I
spent some parts of all the days out there, the setup day, the Saturday full day, and then the Sunday teardown day. So as all of you listeners probably are aware, we're all very active members of the South Lyon Area Amateur Radio Club here in South Lyon, Michigan, and we were operating November 8th Sierra Lima out at Field Day from Brighton State Rec. at the McGizzy cabin, little cabin, little off the grid cabin in the park, cool little spot. And we had a pretty mediocre field day by the numbers. It was, I think, one of the slower ones for me since I've been a ham, and certainly it's my personal lowest as far as contacts is concerned. But that doesn't mean, and I'm the optimist when it comes to this. It doesn't mean that it was a bust at all. There were a lot of positives about the weekend, and I think we'll get into some of that. But the band conditions were poor, and 20 meters it was rough.
Worst.
20 meters to be next to useless for a good chunk of the daytime hours kills the score. 40 held on for the most part, but 20 just wasn't there. 10 was not there.
10 wasn't there all weekend. And it was barely there for FT8 too.
So here's some low numbers from the South Lyon Club. So a total of 680 contacts for the whole weekend. 680.
Which, by the way, is 50 or 60 below our last year's score, our 2024 score. So, 2024 score. So it was less even than last year.
And Rory will give this stat, but a lot more operators too. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, and as far as the bands were concerned, 40 meters was the money band for us with 339 contacts there, and then only 155 on 20 meters, a few on 15, a few on 10.
That's wild.
Just 13, only 13 on 10.
That's wild.
No one was able to get 6 meters to do anything for them. They did try for a little while. We really didn't have a dedicated antenna for 6, but we wanted to try it just to see what we could do. And then the bummer for me, and I always look forward to 80 meters in the nighttime. I enjoy it because it's not something I get to do very often here at home because I'm not set up for it. It didn't really wake up for me. I stayed out there at the site till 2:30. When I left at 2:30, Jason KN4AL got up and picked up the 80 meters, and after I left, he got about 30 contacts on 80 for the rest of the nighttime. So,
sure.
It was kind of a bummer, and you wanted to know how many operators we had out there. I have to count. 16 operators, and that does not include one unlicensed fellow that came out with his uncle, and that would have been KMRD Mike, who a lot of people are familiar with his YouTube channel, of course, but he was originally from this area in Michigan, I think West Bloomfield or Commerce Township, so he still has family in the area, and he took the opportunity to bring his nephew out, which was super cool, and his nephew was super interested. And he got on the air. It was he got on 40 meters. I think sat with. Did he sit with you, James?
It was me. It was me. Yeah.
Wow, nice.
It's always cool when you can show someone that doesn't do ham radio, and they're maybe a little excited about it. So that was pretty cool. It's a rare opportunity hams get to have, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. It was also nice to have him come out, KMRD, that is, on Friday evening, which is our setup evening generally. But I will also say that Rory mentioned record numbers for our operators, but we had just record turnout in general at the field day site for the South Lyon Area Amateur Radio Club. And Mike, KMRD, I'll just call him by his first name. I only met him just for the first time on Friday evening. Real nice guy, and he did a video on the South Lyon Area Amateur Radio Club and our field day site, and I think that it was a really ingratiating video, one that it was very nice to hear good things about the club that he had kind of started in, and I think that we also got our restarts in, right? It is a really awesome club. So if you haven't checked out his video, we'll give him a little plug right here. He did a real nice walkthrough of our field day site out there at the South Lyon Area Amateur Radio Club in McGizzy in the Brighton State Recreation area. So go check it out if you haven't looked at that yet. It'll give you a really good idea of what we were working with. And I will also say out loud that at the end of our event, we always ask on the Sunday evening net that follows field day, how did it go, right? And we had an excellent turnout for the Sunday evening net and a whole bunch of really positive feedback on it being a well-organized experience, on it being an accessible experience for new hams that came out, felt like they were okay to be able to operate radios. I saw more new hams this year than I did last year, which I was really excited by. And I think we were speculating going into this one that was what we would see and that we wanted to see. So it was awesome to see that actually came to fruition. And I was just all around really excited. I didn't get to spend as much time at the site as I would have liked because I had a trip coming right after it. So I believe I only got 10 contacts. All of them eked out on 20, if you can believe that. I made the station work for me just barely. But I guess I got a POTA activation, if you're going to count that as a park. I needed 10 to get there, so that's exactly the number that I got. And then I said, okay, that's that. And tried to get back on later on, but there was a few folks that were interested, so off I went. And so really nice field day experience. But yeah, James, go ahead. I think you...
I was going to say, first off, Jim is the event chair for the South Lyon Amateur Radio Club, so you gave yourself a well-deserved pat on the back there, and I also want to second that. You did a great job. Also, thank you to all the SLAARC members that came out and made that a really cool experience. Everyone helped. Everyone chipped in. Everyone was bringing food to share. It was... honestly, one of the best radio events I've been to, so thank you, everyone, for that.
Yep.
I was there all 3 days. I left a little bit early on Sunday because my wife was a little sick of me doing radio stuff, and
we had a busy lead-up week, too. Yeah,
which is completely understandable, but it was fun, and I appreciate it. I just wish the bands were a little better. I kept looking at the scoreboard because I was trying 20, and I was looking over at NHJRD on the board. I'm like, well, I can beat that. And 4 hours later, I still hadn't beaten it. And I was like, well, okay, this is just, I'm going to go do other things. So Sunday morning, I came back, and I was astonished with the magic of radio again because I could actually, hear people on 20 meters.
Nice.
And they could hear me a little bit as well. So I was actually starting to get a few contacts. And then I said, I'm going to pop over to 40. 40's open, that money band over there, and I got a few more there as well. So... But it was a good time. I really had a great time. Mike was delightful. He actually helped set up as well on that Friday. So
yeah, he did.
If anyone thinks he's not someone that's going to get his hands dirty, he did. And yeah, that was about it. Rory, what was...
I was just looking back at the numbers here, and out of the activators there, the POTA in me is sneaking out. Out of the participants in field day, 5 of them, just off the top of my head, this was their first field day.
Nice.
And one for sure, W8EKM Mike made his first HF contact ever there, and so he was thrilled. He got bit by the radio bug over again. He's been a regular on our local 2-meter repeater during drive time, but it's different bug that bites you when you turn on HF and start spinning the dial and doing some sideband work. So he was able to do that. And I thought of something else as you guys were talking to. In my load numbers, I was able to do something else. I was able to sit with people that this was their first time there. We had a gentleman come out who has not yet gotten his license. He came out Saturday. I was able to take him around, show him the antenna farm, show him the setup. And, that's pretty rewarding, too. It's not all about the contacts. It's about the people. And a couple people were curious about my ATOS antenna. They've all heard the story of people who say the ATOS is awful, and then the people who tell the story that, old W8KNX, they're plugged it in and had it going in 5 minutes, and it works fine. So everyone has to come out to the Jeep and see it installed. So so I had a couple of those, too. But that's the fun part too. You get to share and talk, and that's really just as important to me as the counts and the score.
Yeah, there's 4 stations, and there were, 15 people out there on Saturday afternoon, right? So 4 stations full, but there was lots of conversation about radio-adjacent topics, what projects folks were working on, what they're hoping to do with their radio in the future, show and tell of radio equipment that is sitting on the table or out on someone's vehicle. That's again, the magic of the field day, right? Is it's a whole lot of different things. It's not just operating radio, but ultimately it is that informal contest. And like James said, numbers this year not as good as last, but I think that band conditions also different than last time around. So go ahead, James. What do you have?
Well, I was going to say let's get into a little bit of the nerdy part of field day. Let's talk about the equipment.
Yep.
So we had our antenna farm, Rory mentioned. We had our inside of the cabin where we were set up with our radios. First year with all the same radios.
That's right.
We're really plugging the FTDX10 this episode, but that's what we were using for the excellent receive quality and usability from some newer members. But
front end rejection too, man. There's 4 radios sitting next to one another. You need something that's not going to talk back into the radio next to you. It does excellent. That's one of the reasons that we went to that radio over a 7300, right? It does better in noisy situations, busy situations than any other radio that we have available to us. So. Sorry, I got excited.
In total, no, you're okay. In total, we had, let me count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 antennas going. Well, that's a 5 right there. We had a vertical, the 40-meter vertical. Rory, do you want to explain that one? Because it's a pretty special club radio.
I don't know that I can. So it's
Scrap aluminum, basically.
yeah, it is scrap aluminum and various military surplus. So Larry K at UT, who's a silent key, was a member of the South Lyon Club. Some people might be familiar with that call sign. He was very involved in a lot of technical writing on a lot of ham radio software. The N1MM logger, he was quite involved with the technical writing on that. All of Steve N8AR Kits for Hams stuff, the Morty, which was Larry's product, the Morty Riddy Keyer, Riddy NCW Keyer. So Larry was a tinker. Larry liked to make things work, and he was smarter than most anyone. But he also liked to build stuff. So he somewhere along the way, and I was not active at this time. Somewhere along the way, he had a bunch of scrap aluminum that he decided to make into a 40-meter. Is it a full wave vertical? Is that?
I asked. It's a quarter wave vertical. Somebody made fun of me because a full wave on 40 would be quite large. Yes,
I think I heard you. It would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be quite large.
We're not good at ham radio. It would be. I heard you ask that, and I think that's why that was in my head. So I'll just blame you on that.
Good move.
Sure.
Quarter wave. And it's built on this tripod. I mean, if you get online,
the military poles, the
huge military poles on
a
huge tripod with a couple of radials on it, and it works exceptionally well.
It does.
When I was out there with Shane KF8BWN, we were disassembling at the end of the weekend. I'm like, you know what? I want one of these. If I had a spot for one of these,
everyone says that too.
I would want one of these in my yard.
It looks like something from a sci-fi movie, like the Halo video game. It's this giant pyramid-shaped thing with this giant vertical right out the top. It's pretty freaking cool. And I was going to say, we even weigh it down. We put about 300 feet of coax on that bad boy as well, because we have to set it up kind of far away from the cabin. And it still outperforms any antenna for 40 meters I've ever used. That thing is a monster.
Yeah, I had a good half-hour activation before field day officially started. We keep talking about POTA while we're talking about field day, and I guess we should clarify if it wasn't clear. We do our field day is at Brighton State Recreation Area, which is a POTA park.
Officially a POTA park. Yep, we're not cheating.
We're able to log our POTA contacts as the club and the individual operators as we do field day. So while we're out there, that's the case. But yeah, that 40-meter vertical is something else. It looks ridiculous, but it works well.
Yeah. And we simplified the rest of the setup as well. So we didn't do any towers or really massive construction projects this year. We stuck to a pretty typical Parks on the Air multi-day operation if we were going to go camp somewhere and what we'd set up. So we had our 12-meter soda beam mast basically set up, and we had an antenna. So Lewis had on his N8LEK, he had a band hopper that did 80 meters, up to 80 meters. So he had that set to 80 meters. Then we also had one on each of the soda beam masts, ARRL 51 antennas, which are an off-center fed dipole. Usually very good performance out of those. They are slightly compromised, but they are also... why am I drawing a blank on the words here real quick, guys? Resonant on some frequencies that... Yeah,
they're tunerless, right? The ARRL 51s are tunerless, which is really important when you're operating multiple radios without extra hardware, right? And of course, we will say DX10, of course, gives you a 3-to-1 match, so it can make up for a little bit of edge band, mismatch V-square-wise, but, it's not a 10-to-1. It's not a major tuner, right? So it's a big difference. It's a big reason why we chose the ARRL 51 as an effective multiband antenna for our setup.
And then the last antenna we had was a classic end-fed half-wave. We just had it set up leaning in a mast up against a tree, and then we used that for 10 meters, basically. So that was the setup, simple, pure to the point. At one point, we actually had to go swap out one of the ARRL 51s because we didn't believe band conditions were really that bad. So we went outside, we made... Rory, I think it was you. We're like, please stop operating 20 meters. It wasn't like you were getting much anyway.
No, it didn't hurt my feelings at all. No. I just had to stop yelling into the mic for a minute. Yeah.
And then we actually tore it all down, put it back up. We're all excited. We took SWR readings, the whole 9 yards. We thought feed line issue, antenna issue. We weren't sure. And nope, it was just band conditions. The sun was angry, and that's what happened.
I think we did the classic ham fix, which is to overcomplicate it by overfixing it, right? Why not replace the entire antenna if we're having problems? It can't possibly be that the bands just aren't cooperating. It has to be something else.
It's not us.
When is 20 meters not usable in the daytime? I mean, that's so rare.
I know.
But apparently Saturday of field day, that's the case. There was a lot of people might be saying that's a very simple antenna setup for a field day.
True.
Don't you want to put up a tower? Don't you want to put up a beam? Don't you want to do this? Don't you want to do that? Well, we'll go back in history, and the South Lyon Club does own 2 towers and 2 beams, I believe. But the rotors and all the things to be able to do it, we could still do that entirely, set up for field day and put up towers.
That's right.
The discussion, we've had a lot of discussion about this, and it comes down to, sure, we're probably losing a little bit of advantage being able to shoot a bunch of power to the West Coast to get the 6 and 7 call area stations. And that actually shows on our log that we were pretty weak into Southern California. I'm always happy to work the stations and all the sections in California and the 6 stations and all that, but didn't get many of them. So you kind of have that. You can call that a handicap, but I don't really think it is, because you end up by simplifying the antenna setup to what we've done. Your setup and tear down is quicker, and it's a ton safer too. I've always had a lot of concern, and I was just listening to something, I don't know, maybe Ham Radio Newsline or one of those broadcasts where they were talking about people showing pictures of their field day setup and people not operating safely. No hard hats, no gloves, no people wearing flip-flops trying to put up a tower. So you've got to think about it. It's a safety thing too. It's a time efficiency and safety thing, and we would hate to have something happen to someone. And there's terrible stories out there on field days of yesterday that bad things have happened with those. So I think I am a big fan of the simplified setup, and I think, band conditions aside, it worked just fine.
Yeah, I had a little bit of beam envy. I won't lie. James and I both went out to the SLAARC field day site in Cohocton Township. I believe I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, Livingston Amateur Radio Club.
Livingston, yep. SLAARC, yep. And they did have 2 beams set up, but one of them had a little lean. And James and I both were like, okay, but it was 3 guys
on this side of the antenna.
Yeah, it was 3 guys, and they muscled that thing up there, and it was quite a setup, right? It was a multi-element, massive beam up probably a good 30, 40 plus feet probably, and they had it all guyed out. I mean, they spent a good 4 or 5 hours setting that thing up, and what Rory said is 100% true, right? If you don't have the right folks with the right know-how, setting something like that up can be, an endeavor that perhaps your club isn't willing or interested in getting involved in, and it also has a major time investment in doing so, right? And what we decided was, for the joy of operating and for the joy of our sanity, we were not going to invest the time in constructing beams. I don't think that there's a time down the road where maybe we might reconsider that. There's a very likely there might be the right group of folks that are engineering minded, that have the right equipment and the access to that equipment, trucks and trailers and things that can make that easier. Let's bring it back, right? But right now, with the folks that we have and the equipment that we have and the space that we're working in, those types of things don't make sense for us. And I think that I agree. You leave some points on the board when you don't go massive beam, but it also it's field operation. Let's not lose the spirit of field day, which perhaps is part of where we're going with this conversation in a little bit here. Let's not lose the spirit of the field day, which is to say you're out in the field working your radio. How do you set it up? How quickly can you set it up? How can you make it work for you if this were an emergency situation, right? This is a little bit of a role play for something like that down the line. James, you have a thought. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, as we're talking about all the safety, now go watch the video of me climbing around on a roof where Jim throws a wrench at my face. And, watch us live that example to the fullest. That'd be great.
I fell out of my attic a couple months ago, so there's that.
I do want to call out
we are not perfect.
Yeah, I do want to call out the gentleman that made a comment on your on that video, by the way. And I'm sorry I don't know his name, but you'll know it if it's you. He said, a fall arrest harness is not an expensive piece of equipment, and it can be bought almost anywhere by a normal person. And I actually read that, and I said, you know what? Damn, that's a smart comment. And I get up on my roof probably more frequently than most folks do. I will actually be looking into what I need to buy one of those, and I may just have to tie it off to my truck on the other side of the roof when I go up, so that if I do go down, at least I'm not hitting the ground. Right? Somebody can call the fire department and they can bring the ladder truck out and rescue me. At least I haven't broken all of my bones when I fall off my 3rd-story roof. Right? So I appreciate that person who left that comment. Fall rest harnesses, those are available. They are not ridiculously expensive. A normal Joe who's operating up on the roof and wants to make changes on a semi-frequent basis is definitely probably going to find that to be a really smart investment. So +1 if you're that guy who left us that comment. Thank you for putting some sense into us. It was a very astute comment on that video.
Yeah. And I guess before we go into our feedback about Field Day, of course, if you're listening or watching, go ahead and leave in the comments your setups, your experiences with Field Day, what you found interesting in terms of what you guys as a club or yourself did. We'd love to know more about the antennas you use, the setups, photos, whatever you have. We find that stuff very interesting, so of course, please share it, and we'd love to work with you and communicate with you on those experiences as well. But let's talk a little bit about where we feel Field Day could be improved for the future.
Oh, gosh.
Rory, why don't we start with you? Because
So
I know you have feedback.
Yeah, I found a very, very interesting post on Facebook, I think on the Parks on the Air Facebook page.
Yep.
We all know my thoughts of some of the people that post on that particular Facebook page. Some of them are people who I don't think should be allowed in public. But this gentleman here that made this post, and it's titled 2025, My Last Field Day. And I will credit him. This is Mel Snyder.
Provocative title.
Mel Snyder, W3PYF, and he states in here that he's 82 years old, and he's been a licensed ham since 1957. So he's got a number of field days under his belt, and he's kind of, and this is a very similar conversation, I think, to a conversation a lot of us have had, because Parks on the Air has become such a thing. In the old days, field day used to be the only time of year you'd be crazy enough to take your expensive equipment out in the field and turn it on.
Yep.
Now it's something a lot of us do every weekend.
Now Jim's throwing it in a backpack and trying to catch a ferry to an island. So.
Right. And that's it's really changed the way people look at field day. And one of his ideas, one of his thoughts, and I'm kind of on the same thought process. His comment here: this past field day, in my estimation, was the very worst I can recall. I wouldn't necessarily say I agree with that fully.
Hot take. That's a hot take.
We talked about a lot of the positives moments ago, a lot of the social side of it, a lot of the getting new people out there. That's fine. We had band conditions that were bad. That's fine. But I don't know that, for me, it was the very worst. But he goes on to talk about why he felt that way. And the changing of the rules with the Class D stations, which are people at home, and the fact that they're able to work each other for points. So you do start to run into a problem where there's a lot of 1 Delta stations working 1 Delta stations, and it's much easier when you're at the comfort of your home station that you work every day. And sometimes you have those beams, sometimes you have that amp, sometimes you have all the things.
That's right.
It turns into a lot of power, a lot of noise coming from the 1 Delta stations trying to rack up points on a contest that's not a contest. It's a field day, and I will give my take on that. I do feel field day is a contest, and I feel it should be a contest, but that's just how I am.
They're publishing rankings, so it's a contest. They can call it what it is. It's a contest. There are results in the back of the QST magazine when they tally
It's a contest. So
now you're going to start an argument with all the POTA folks out there on that one, but go on.
Well, go ahead, Rory.
We could say.
Go ahead, Rory.
You almost got me going on something else, but I'll try to.
I saw the wheels turning.
I'll try to stay on topic for once in my life. But he goes on to talk about the POTA stations and how POTA's become such a thing is actually a good thing, and it's the people are keeping it simple by keeping their POTA activations simple. They're getting out and they're practicing and they're doing all the goodwill amateur radio.
And they're experimenting with new things too.
Mm-hmm. He talks a little bit about what we were talking about earlier, the goodwill of amateur radio, where you have people that come out and are new and want to play. We're seeing that in POTA, but we're starting to see in field day as fewer as clubs seem to have smaller turnouts for field day, that's getting harder and harder to have people to welcome the people that come in and explain to people what's going on. So it's a lot of things there. And again, I shouldn't say this is everywhere. I also read a few articles about, essentially, and I didn't bookmark this one, but it was essentially the perfect field day experience where a brand new ham showed up and someone brought the guy a cup of coffee and took him around and explained everything and offered food. And, it sounded pretty cool. But, I think we have to, field day needs to probably evolve and stay a little bit more current and stay with what's happening. And POTA is what's happening in amateur radio, especially in field operations right now. So we'll see what they do. I know we all have our thoughts on ARRL and what they do and don't do. And that's again, another conversation for another day. I myself would love to see them. You can't do away with the 1 Delta stations. I think you need to have a category for those folks that might be homebound or aren't able to get out for one reason or another.
Absolutely.
But maybe put some power limitations on them. Maybe make it so they can't work each other. Make it, if 1 Delta station's working sites out in the field, that's great. But when they're contesting with each other, 1 Delta against 1 Delta, and there were a few of those, that's the only people that were making it through a pileup were the 1 Delta stations because they were at home throwing all their power at it. So go ahead.
You said 1 Delta station shouldn't be able to work 1 Delta stations, and I of course in my head was like, well, if I'm calling CQ, I almost said Parks in the Air, CQ Field Day. This is November 8, Sierra Lima, and I don't know yet because I haven't given my please copy 4 Alpha. Mike India. How are 1 Delta stations going to know the
you've already missed a step.
Oh,
you shouldn't turn on the radio and key up right away. You should have already listened for a few seconds to the person on the frequency and see what they're doing. That's how you know they're a 1 Delta station. That that's not that hard. This business of people turning into, that's how you get all this QRM and all this bullshit that happens. People turn on their radio and they turn up their power and they start keying up. I'm on the repeater over here the other day and here comes some guy in Whitmore Lake calling and giving a radio check while I'm in a QSO with someone. I mean, listen for a half of a second before you transmit. That's how you know one Delta station or 1 Charlie station or 1 whatever station.
I believe, right, all of this is logged, right? So I would love to see some statistics even out of our own log because we have that data set available. So I would love to see some statistics on how many 1D, 1E stations, 1 stations were worked, just out of curiosity. It won't tell a whole story. The other thing that's interesting to me, too, is when I put it in the perspective of POTA, right, the activator needs to be in a park for that park to become active, right? And the activator is the sought after radio operator in that scenario, right? We can have activators at home, or I'm sorry, rather, help me with the word. Yeah. Hunters at home. I'm sorry. It wasn't coming to me. Hunters at home, right? That are playing the sport, right? But they have a specific position in that sport, right? And when we think about the hunter, right? The hunter doesn't sit at home and say, CQ POTA from my house on Clark's Court, right? They don't say that, right? And that's what I think we need to do with Field Day. I love what Rory said there. Probably you've read more and more on this topic, but I agree with you, Rory. I think that allows us to have those folks that can still play at home, but don't become a sought-after station because you're running a commercial 1,500 watts out of a tower that's 60 feet in the air on an antenna that you've spent thousands and thousands of dollars with, right? The folks that have gone out, spent a full day setting up, right? We want to encourage that behavior, and I do think that it does detract from the idea of the field day. I want those people to continue to play. I just don't believe that it makes a lot of sense for the particular event that we're participating in to have those folks as the stations that we're calling back to. They can call us if they want to, but let's do something similar to what POTA did, I think.
Well, and Field Day is supposed to be an emergency communications exercise. So having a home station is also, I think, part of that.
That's fair. That's fair.
You want to be able to reach out to those stations and get their QSOs or have them reach out to you maybe also. But I agree with everything you both have said. I don't really have any differing opinions.
I think it's fair to say, right, in classic everyday ham fashion, right, we're taking an idea here and we're breaking it down a little further, maybe pushing it a little bit further, making it a little uncomfortable. So if you don't agree, let us know down below. What does Field Day need to bring folks back out to Field Day, right? Is Field Day outmoded because POTA is the new Field Day? Because POTA offers us more opportunities to do Field Day and do the things that we're doing at Field Day with all of our friends more frequently. Maybe that's the truth, right? I can go out in POTA every weekend and I can say, hey, if you're a new op and you want to come see how to run HF radio in the field, let's go activate a park any day of the week. Doesn't have to be on ARRL schedule. It can be on Jim's schedule, NHJRD, anytime you want. So I would love to hear what the folks that are listening think, and how does ARRL bring Field Day back into relevance? I think that there's a certain, we're pushing again the idea here. How does it become more relevant when we think that there is an event that happens year round now in Parks on the Air that allows us to do many of the same things?
And for the ARRL, I think there's a lot of opinions right now about the ARRL, and I'd be curious to see how they respond to the evolving change of Parks on the Air and the criticism of Field Day, the enjoyment of Field Day. I saw someone post, it's my annual club barbecue and radio day out in the field. Yeah, and they kind of made that as a negative comment. I'm like, it actually sounds kind of awesome.
I was going to say, I had a hell of a time.
Yeah. So Field Day can be whatever you want it to be. But again, I'd like to see how the ARRL responds, and that will also go a long way building back some of that faith in, let's say, the ham community. Rory?
I just wonder if it's frequency related, right? The more I break this down, the more I think about. Sorry, Rory, I think I cut you off there, and it's probably latency. But
Starlink.
Yeah, Starlink. I just think it's frequency related, right? Like, think about if I say, James, let's try running next year's Field Day. You can learn how to operate the radio next year in July or June. I'm sorry, right? So we're gonna wait 11 months? Come on, guys. That's not. The information moves much more quickly these days. I hate to say it, right? The internet is prevalent. The way that we operate is different, right? I think that Field Day needs to take some pointers, right, from other operating methods that we're using. Like, I don't know. I'm curious what folks are thinking about it. I still enjoyed the hell out of Field Day, and I will tell you, I think South Lyon was a microcosm of a bigger turnout than last year, right? In that we had more folks turn out, and we had excited folks turn out that were stoked to be out there and involved in an active club. So we probably bucked the trend in a certain way, even though we didn't score any better than we did last year. We had more folks show up, and honestly, I appreciated that more than the points. So that's how I feel about it. I thought it was still a success, and I agree with you, James. If it's just radio and barbecue, I love it. Let's do it again next year on at the end of June.
Rory's turn now. Go, Rory.
Go ahead, Rory.
Well, we all know the ratio of speaking. Even when you're on the local repeater, Jim's gonna give the full 3 minutes on the repeater every time to my 30 seconds or whatever it is that I say. And usually half of my transmissions on the repeater have to do with the traffic I'm driving in. So anyway, it's just how we are. That's why this works. When we were planning for Field Day, I remember I told you, Jim, I said, we really need to push the cookout portion and make sure we're inviting the entire club out for the cookout. Yep. Because, and part of that was my thought with that was, the radio side of it isn't as big of a draw as it once was for whatever reason, whether it's POTA or other, but let's keep the camaraderie and the social side of it and the family side of it alive and get people out for that part of it. And we had a good turnout. Our friend Steven 8AR showed up and he sat at the table and just talked to everybody. He didn't touch a radio the whole time. I wonder the last time Steve went on HF, actually.
Steve was doing Steve things, and he loved
Steve was loving every minute.
Every moment.
He was telling stories, and he sat down with Shane, our friend Shane, KFEPWN, and they were banging at some command line stuff on the Sherry, and Steve was learning stuff from Shane, and Shane was learning stuff from Steve, and it was just fun to sit back. I grabbed a beer and sat down and watched them do their thing. Yeah. So that's so much of it. It's what I really, like I said earlier, it's not all about the radio. But let me summarize Mel's W3FPF's PYF's post here. And again, ham since 1957. And we hear a lot of the older folks in the hobby saying, POTA clogs up the airwaves and all that. But this guy has the complete opposite, and I enjoyed his last paragraph of that. POTA is the future of ham radio, I believe. I am now 82 and expect that in the foreseeable future, I might be limited to local parks to which I can Uber or even an assisted living table and Magloop. So he's ready to keep doing POTA for the rest of his days. So that tells you from...
And you should, as long as you can.
And his thoughts on field day were not nearly that positive. So I don't know. Shout out to you, Mel. I don't know that you'll ever hear this, but thanks for your article. And maybe we'll get you in the log someday.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Steve, back to the NAR, and he basically hosted his own Apple Genius bar. Laptop started coming out. He was building sherry kits with people and coding and doing all sorts of stuff, and that was fun.
I guess we'll throw a plug there. If anyone's looking for an all-star node, a good quality all-star node.
The best all-star node. We can say that.
That is completely engineered here in the metropolis of Howell, Michigan. Marion Township, to be exact. Go to kits4hams.com. That's the number 4. And it's a full-service operation. You can buy the kit. You can buy it all put together. And the item is warranted for Steve's lifetime. So...
I don't know if I'd make any promises on warranties.
He will live forever.
I was saying on warranties. I don't know if I want to make any promises on warranties.
No, that is his warranty. That is his warranty.
Nice. All right. He's told me the same thing.
He'll tell you that. And his daughter and son-in-law were out at field day, and James and I had a good time talking to them, and they reminded us that's his warranty as well.
I've never heard him say it. I can't believe it. I thought you guys were making something up there.
Oh no, I do have a new item.
I love it. I love it.
I did get the new Sherry based on the Pi 5. It's in the Neo case. It has a built-in fan that is becoming my primary all-star node in the house here, and I have started the migration to ASL 3.
Ooh, that's going to be a whole episode in itself one day, by the way. Rory's take on ASL 3 and his inability. Well, he had a lot of settings. He didn't want to update his customizations and have to redo all the work.
That is exactly right, yeah.
And I don't blame him there.
I don't hate it. I'll tell you that already.
It has some advantages. It has some advantages. I have mine running just across the camper here, and it is working excellent. It has been working excellent. I talked to Rory from the fire pit, many, many miles from the N8SL repeater yesterday evening on the Starlink again. So it's my favorite camping gear. That is a +1 from me over here. But are you setting this one up with the Whiskey 8 X-ray or Echo Delta Hotel thing going? Is that what this one is, or is this going to be your primary?
No, it's going to replace my primary primary home one, which gets pretty much nonstop use connected to something. So the old one I'm going to actually give to Steve to look at. It has some quirks, and I'm going to have him look at it and see what he thinks. It likes to reboot for no apparent reason. I had thought it was a power supply issue. I don't think it is. I think it's something in the Sherry. So I am going to take advantage of the Steve lifetime warranty. So.
And you replaced the Pi too, right? That has a new Pi in it.
To be fair, that was my first Sherry from him. I've had that long enough. I've had it longer than I've been reactive in the club. I got that from him through mail, I think at the first part of COVID when we were stuck at home. It was something I wanted to putz with, so I want to say really August of 2020, and that thing's been on the air connected to a couple of really busy networks ever since then. So I'm not disappointed that it's given me any trouble.
Well, any final thoughts, guys, on field day in general, or the experience that we had? And like I said, we talk about everything on Everyday Ham. If you disagree with us, that's okay. We'd love to hear your counterpoints down in the comments, and we can be swayed. We would love to have those things in our quiver next time we chat about a topic like this. Any last thoughts, though, on field day before we close it up? My
last thought before we close is, what's everyone's take? Do you please copy or no please copy?
No,
are we expenses?
So let's do a couple things here so people know what we're talking about, because there's people who have never field dayed a day in their life. So there is, of course, as in any contest, there is an exchange. Yep. The one person calls, the other person. Oh, I could go on a whole. Let me look at the timer. No, I'm not going to give you guys that.
Class and section for field day, right?
Oh, the people who don't give the exchange in the right order. I had to give the snarky November 8th, Sierra Lima, your exchange, please. And then they would get confused, but that's because they had already screwed up and I just was angry. But no, you guys all have heard, anyone who's listened to this once has heard that I tend to be pretty brief on the radio and I want to exchange my information and I want to move on. And Field Day is no exception. Mm-hmm. So CQ Field Day, November 8th, Sierra Lima. Someone would reply, and then you would reply and say, November 8th, Sierra Lima for Alpha, Michigan. And then you would expect something back from them. Nothing more. I give nothing more than that. But there's this thing where people like to say, November 8th, Sierra Lima, please copy for Alpha, Michigan. What do you need please copy for? What else are you going to do with it? Of course you're going to write it down. What do you need to say please copy for?
I also say 73 and thanks. So I'm a very Midwesterner moment there.
I don't think anyone.
I'm one ope away.
You get one. I've got a lot of opes, but you get a 7-3 out of me, but you don't get any thanks. I'll tell you that. So let's plug our best friend Sebastian and at the Polo logging software Ham 2K, and he had some fun with the please copy. So he made his I love this Ham 2K Polo software. He's improving it every day, like we discussed, and yes. And one of the things he did add this year was the ability to do field day logging using that platform. And he did write into the code when you get to the exchange, if someone says please copy for Alpha, you can type in PC4A, meaning please copy for Alpha, because that's what they sent you. And at the end, in your log, you could go to the tab of the summary tab, and it would tell you the percentage of people that said please copy.
I love it.
And I laughed because that's just such a thing that I would have kept track of, and that. But I do not say please copy. I don't have it in me.
I like that Sebastian has expanded this product even further than we ever thought it would go. +1 to Sebastian. Again, we'll give him another plug here for free. We love him. And also, that is hilarious. When Rory said it was a thing that he added right before Field Day, I said, what? It's just such a nice little extra.
Yeah, it was funny because Eric, KDRS, president of the South Lyon Club, our friend Eric, he sent me that link of Sebastian explaining that on one of the other YouTube channels because he knew that would be right in my alley. I get a random message from Eric at 5:45 in the morning with a link. I'm like, what's going on? And he said, you got to watch this. I'm like, I'm not even up yet. I'll watch it later. And,
but it was worth the watch.
Eric knows me well enough. He gave me the timestamp because he knew I wouldn't watch the whole thing, and
nice.
And I had a really good laugh on that was a lousy morning as most of them are.
Wait. So am I the only please copy guy? Jim, are you not a please copy guy?
I believe I may have please copied, and then I started feeling like I shouldn't be please copying. So then I was just like NISL 4 Alpha Mike India.
Do what you do. Don't think you have to conform to my angry
I'll still give my thanks and my please copy. Don't you worry about that. I'll be true to myself here.
Oh boy. So it's we're coming on to 4th of July weekend. Anyone have any POTA plans for 4th of July weekend? I am headed north. I'll be in northern Lower Michigan. I am going to swing through where Jim's at. I think I'm going to swing through there on Friday.
Yes.
And unless I'm warned to avoid the area at that time,
you should be good.
But, I'm going to do. I'm attempting to do a rove. I think Friday morning between Alpena and Mackinac. We'll see what happens. I got to make a plan for that, and then I'll swing down to Gaylord. Will probably be the plan. So
I'll be at home trying to track you, doing fireworks with the kids, and that's about my plans for the radio stuff.
I will be on. You'll be able to see where I'm at. I'll be on APRS WAKNX-9.
I will remind both of you, microphones for audio and get some B-roll. It would be probably interesting if you guys meet up on the 4th here for some footage.
I have my mics, I have my tripod, and I'm ready, and I will try to record.
I say that because we are all the worst at that.
We are worse. We are the worst.
It's the best at times. It's the worst at times. So
I'll be trying to get out Sago Lake again, and like I said, the East Jordan Fish Hatchery for sure. So I'm going to try to get my name up the list there, and that's my plan for July 4th. But looking forward to it. I think I am going to set the HF radio up maybe this evening after we wrap this thing up. And maybe I'll call out with the Whiskey 8 Everyday Ham if I get all kinds of fired up on these Corona NA beers that I'm having this evening.
Oh, boy. Big evening. And I guess before we formally close, episode 7, go get them. Episode 8, we have maybe a special guest coming up, someone from one of the big 3 manufacturers, so stay tuned for that. That will be in our August episode.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, really, really excited for that. Hopefully it's a good discussion. Seems like a great person. So we're excited to bring that to you, and we appreciate them making the time for us as well.
I was just going to say, it is awesome to hear that we have somebody willing to come and join us on the Everyday Ham
deal
podcast.
With all this. Yeah,
well,
deal with all this. So.
We'll try to be on our best behavior for that. But
I
guys,
may have to tone it down just a bit for a guest.
just a smidge.
Nah. All right, guys. So 7.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
One last reminder. Please, everydayham.com. Please like and subscribe, 5-star reviews, all the good things. You can find all information there. But, Jim, you now.
73s, guys. I appreciate the from the remote operating station of the back 40 of the KC8 NTE property. This is N8JRD signing off for the evening. It has been a pleasure.
Deep radio, that radio closing. 73 from KHAKU. Thanks, everyone.
7-3. Good night.
That's it for today's Everyday Ham. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep enjoying the hobby.